Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production, and today I'm going to show you how you can create a digital piano sound or a cheap piano sound using MSoundfactory, specifically the Additive module. So let's get started. I have MSoundfactory open. I'm going to go into the generator here, and we're just going to open the Additive module. Okay, we have this open. For this, you can use any amount of harmonics. You can use all of them, but it's going to take more CPU. I think for this, I found that 24 worked well for me, but I think starting at 32 is kind of a good compromise. I'll show you something I have here. What we're going to do is actually use the structure. So we could go in here and like, okay, we'll adjust these manually, but I think many times it's easier to use the structure here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the presets, and I have some that I made myself, but you can make these easily yourself. All you need is samples of one piano note. So if I go in here, I have the piano here, and I recommend doing it from like one that's really low, one that's kind of in like the low mids, one that's pretty high, and one that's really high. So that way you have four of them. So let's start with just this here. So this is P2. P1 looks like this. P2 is here. Okay. So this we have, if I play it, actually one thing you should do, this will probably be loud, so I'm going to turn the volume down here. That's the sound. It's not particularly, inspiring or anything, but it's a good starting space. And what I want to do here is, first I want to turn this harmonic up just because I like that. Just going to give us a little bit more bass. There's not really any real reason. I just like that. And the next thing I want to do is actually reset the frequencies. And that's because most of these are right where they should be, but in case they aren't, you should do this because I'll show you later. Just trust me. It's just doing a little bit there. It doesn't sound any different. See, almost the same. So we have this, and everything's okay, but next thing I want to do is I actually want to go into the globals here, and let's move down the attack a bit, and I want to make this actually sound like a piano so it can't be sustaining the whole time. I'm going to turn the sustain down to 0, turn the decay way up, I don't know, between like 1 and 2 seconds, maybe more. Move it down like this, exponential curve. See, like down there, it doesn't actually sound so bad. Not like a perfect piano, but you can get the idea. I might want to move the release up too. If I release it now, that's too fast. Let's try here. Okay, so for our purposes, I think that's good enough. Of course, you can get in there, and actually for this, you can analyze that sample and find out exactly how long the sustain is. Using it that way if you don't want to do it yourself, but I think that's good enough for our purposes. It's a digital piano, it doesn't have to be perfect. And so now that we have that, everything's sounding so-so. What I really want to do is, because a piano oftentimes has more than one string, detuned strings, I need to do that. And of course I could use the detuning, but that's not so good. What I really want to use is the width. The width works by shifting to the left side up and the right side down in pitch. So I'll just do it with 1. So you can see here, this up, and you'll hear it. It's really, this should be, I guess, 1, it's not a synth. It would be a 1 semitone up on the right and 1 semitone down on the left, I believe. You can see, okay, that sounds bad. But if you do it just a little bit, let's say, I'll do it on the first harmonic here, like this. A little bit. Oh, you can see like, okay, it's kind of adding something to it. Of course, all the other harmonics are perfectly in line, so it doesn't seem like anything. But what we're going to do is actually go into all the other harmonics and actually shift them. And before we do that to all 32, what is a good idea is to look inside here and look how many of these are we actually using. So you see here's all the way up to 32 here. Silence, silence, silence. Negative 38 decibels, silence, 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 silence. And it's like, 24, okay, it's starting to do things from 24 down. So what I want to do is just cut this down to 24 partials. And that's just going to save us some CPU and also save us some time. So what we're going to do here is actually adjust the width. I like to leave the first harmonic as it is, but we're going to adjust the width of the other ones. You don't have to be so technical about this. I just like to adjust it a little bit. I think if you go over 7, it starts to sound a little bit off. It might sound more like a honky-tonk piano, but I just want a little bit. So I'm going to move these. I'm going to do one side up, one side down, and I think it sounds a little bit better if the higher you go up in harmonics, the more you shift it, but that's just me personally. Try whatever you like here. And keep in mind, this will also make things stereo, which to me sounds good, but if you don't like that, you can use like a mono plugin or something afterwards, or mono module afterwards to make it mono again. Let's go in here. You can be precise or as, sloppy with it as you want. It's not an exact science. I don't want to take too long doing this, so I'm not going to, go too far into this. I just want you to hear the overall effect. Like this, a little bit more. Do that one more. Here we go. You actually don't even need to do all of them, but I just wanted to do all of them in here so you could see. And now let's play it. So you're getting that, I remember that old digital sound. But as you go up the keyboard, I actually like that sound a lot, but you're probably thinking like, hey, that doesn't sound anything like a piano. Like in the lower octaves, I was like, it doesn't sound so bad in my opinion. That sounds like a piano, more or less, at least a bad version, like a cheap version, like you might have heard perhaps in the 90s. But as you go up, it's like it's sounding nothing like a piano. And one of the reasons is the harmonics change a bit as you go up. So let's move it over to B here, and let's try another one. So I'll show you exactly why you want to actually use the reset harmonics function. So let's say I did this. So this is P1. I'm not going to use this one, but just so you can hear it. So let's say I hit a note, and then I slide it over. You hear that pitch sliding, and you're like, why is that happening? And that's because the harmonics are different, so it's changing in pitch. So if we use reset frequencies like this, they should all be in line, so that way when I move it, it's like the timbre is moving, but the actual harmonics and pitches aren't, so it sounds better. But what I'm actually going to use is probably this one, this P3. You see here, harmonics are a little bit dampened. I'll use the same reset frequency, and you should hear it. A should be brighter. B is a little bit more subdued. The problem with B, though, is it's a little bit low in volume, so I'm going to move it up. Let's say try 5 at first. Let's see how this sounds. Those are fairly even. Now that's good, but what I really want to do is I want this to change as I'm going up the keyboard. So I'm going to go into this X parameter here, and let's move this using key tracking. So I'm going to use key scale here, like that. Turn the depth all the way up, and I can either use this here, but if I use actual key scale mapping here, that means for every other instance of this I use, it's going to change, which in some cases you want to do that, but in this case, let's say I don't, I'll use this transformation here, which will only be specifically for this, I guess not modulator, for this parameter. Okay, so I'll hit, let's say, try my lowest note that I'll realistically be playing, like here. I'll put this at the very bottom. If you want to snap this, you can just click here, snap to X grid, snap to Y grid, if you like that. Okay, and then think about like, oh, what about the highest note I would play, or the highest I want this working? Maybe there. So double click here, add another one. Okay, so we got that, and that's sounding a little bit better. It's still not perfect, but... Some other things you might want to do is like, it's still too much, way too much high end. You can add something here like, let's say filter basic, and I'll just add a low pass filter here, and I can change the pitch mode to constant and just find wherever it sounds good. Might move the resonance down. So that's something we can do. And of course, you can mess with the other things in here. We can go back and change the width if we want. And this still doesn't sound like a normal piano, but I kind of like that high end there. That, to me, it sounds nice. Nice, like hybrid between a piano and synthesizer. Something else we can do is we can actually modulate this. So if I take this off constant, I'll put it back on normal, set the frequency to 1 here. Let's set the resonance to, let's say 3. Oh, actually, 30. And we can actually move this using, let's say, another envelope. We'll use the attack envelope here. And let's see, it goes up to 400. Yeah, that seems good. And we can have this move down, move it up here like this. Now this is sounding more like a synthesizer, but I actually like this sound a lot. We can adjust the time here a little bit longer. Or shorter. So we get almost like a pluck style sound. Let's move this down here. And let's try it with a little bit more resonance like this. So you can adjust that however you like. And for like kind of a finishing touch, something I might want to do is actually go into here and add some reverb to it. So let's go in here, Randy Hall here, like this. See how this sounds. Move it down. I don't know, for some reason that kind of reminds me of like some new age music or something. So you can play with that and do whatever you want with it. If you think, I want like more resonance, turn this attack up a little bit more and try to get something a little bit more synthetic like this, you definitely can. Actually, it might work lower like a bass like this. That's way too long. I should probably just turn that off. So you can do all sorts of variations. There's many things you can do with this. Play with this. I think the general concept is interesting. And of course, you don't even have to limit it to piano sounds. You could do anything with it. I hope this gave you some ideas of things that you can do. If it did, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, and check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.